Now first things first, I want to start by saying it feels good to be back. Now real talk, many Star Wars fans are saying director, producer, and showrunner Jon Favreau has single-handedly revitalized Star Wars fandom with The Mandalorian. Some would even go as far as saying that he's holding up the entire franchise on his shoulders. And in doing so, he sustained the following injuries.
You know, I have a torn rotator cuff, a hairline fracture in my right forearm, and a severely bruised Adam's apple, but that really hurt.
This is the way.
The Mandalorian Season 2. So this review was requested by one of my subscribers, Rob, and Rob writes, "Yo Pablo, Mando Season 2 review, where is it?" Thanks for writing in, Rob. And yeah, it's about time I talk about Mando Season 2. Now for the rest of you wondering how to send in a review request to me, it's just 2 easy steps. Hit that subscribe button and simply write your request in the comments. And maybe I choose your request for my next video. Now before we kick things off, just letting you know that I will be talking about spoilers in this video. So I guess that's your spoiler warning right there. If you've already seen it or generally don't care about spoilers, then let's go ahead and talk about Mandalorian Season 2. So Mando is back with our favorite Baby Yoda. Look, I know that his name's been revealed and we learned that it's Grogu.
Grogu?
But if you guys indulge me, I'm gonna keep calling him Baby Yoda from time to time.
That's his name.
Grogu? I was kinda hoping for a cuter name. In this season, Pedro Pascal's Mando has been tasked to take Baby Yoda, aka the child, to his people. And his people are the Jedi. And that's the plot! How simple is that?
I've been quested with returning this child to the Jedi.
Plus we finally get the answer to the question, how does Mando eat without taking off his helmet and showing his face?
This is the way.
You can tell that Mando Season 2 got a bigger budget than Season 1. Approximately costing $15 million per episode, this season hits us with more action, more visual effects, and more adventure in a variety of new worlds. And we get to see familiar faces again, like Bill Burr as Mayfeld, Carl Weathers as Greef Karga, Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, Ming-Na Wen as Fennec, and not at all looking 57 years old.
You look like you've just seen a ghost.
And Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Ah, Gina.
Bye, Felicia.
Let's not get into the events that led to her firing.
These stripes mean there are rules I need to follow.
But I don't want to say bye to the Cara Dune character either. I hope they recast and maybe get... We also have some guest stars like Timothy Olyphant as the Marshal, John Leguizamo as some one-eyed alien, Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, Tamara Morrison as Boba Fett, and Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. And surprisingly, your ex.
They were no wonder.
We start the season off with Jon Favreau directing the first episode. Mando flies around in Tatooine with Timothy Olyphant as the Marshal in Boba Fett's armor. All because they're trying to take down a crate dragon, which is essentially a massive sandworm.
I don't like sand.
Or as I like to call it, a giant penis with teeth. And then we get to episode 2, directed by Peyton Reed. Now I know this one divided fans. Some people liked it, and a lot of people did not. Personally, I liked it. But it did feel like a filler episode on an ice planet. I don't mind filler episodes, as long as they're entertaining.
Are you not entertained?
We get a frog lady, Mr. Kim from the show Kim's Convenience as an X-Wing pilot, along with his wingman, director Dave Filoni. And we get a ton of ice spiders. Not recommended for people with a fear of spiders. But I get it, out of all 8 episodes, this one seems the most inconsequential.
Quite inconsequential.
Even though I found it entertaining, it was the weakest episode of the entire season. And that only speaks to how great Season 2 is. That an episode that I still enjoyed was surpassed by the quality of the other episodes. And as for the controversy of Baby Yoda eating some of Frog Lady's eggs, some people were like, oh my god, he's evil! He's turning to the dark side! All I have to say about that is, relax, babies don't have a moral compass. They'd eat anything they can get their hands on. But they grow out of it. Except for these guys.
Oh, this guy here is a big one.
Let's do this.
And maybe this guy.
I'm gonna need to eat for a week after this one.
That was gross.
Now, at the very last episode, we see a hooded Jedi come to the rescue, because our heroes are trapped by a squad of Terminator-like Dark Troopers. I wonder who this dark mysterious savior could be. If the X-Wing wasn't enough of a clue, then I'm sure the glove on one hand and the green lightsaber would have given it away. It's Luke Skywalker. Who else? This big reveal got a lot of fans crying tears of joy. It even got director Kevin Smith crying. There's no denying that this moment was huge.
Huge. Not a bad one. Huge. Huge.
My shock and surprise quickly turned into pure excitement watching Luke take out the Dark Troopers with such ease and barely an inconvenience. As much as I enjoyed this entrance and this reveal, I do have a couple of problems with it. Don't get me wrong, I still think it's good.
But it can be better.
Luke wiping out all the Dark Troopers was very reminiscent of the hallway scene in Rogue One. You know, that scene where Darth Vader kills a lot of rebels? One of the key things missing in Luke's version was the human element. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm talking about the fear, the panic, and the screams for help. You don't get any of that with these battle droids. I'm not saying replace the Dark Troopers altogether, but at least throw in a few Stormtroopers in the mix to add those missing emotions.
The human inside was the final weakness to be solved. They're droids.
And the second problem I had, albeit I acknowledge this is just a nitpick, is when Luke takes off his hood, revealing a young Mark Hamill. At first I was like, yes! Then I noticed the CG and I was like,
Oh no.
Let's be honest here, we've seen some graphics in video games more realistic than this.
Every word of what you just said is wrong.
And remember Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese in Terminator and as Corporal Hicks in Aliens? Well, he's here as a bad guy named Lang. And the delivery of some of his lines were kinda wooden. It almost feels as though he literally just memorized his lines 5 minutes before the camera started rolling.
What is that thing?
I keep it around for luck.
You're gonna need it where you're headed.
In contrast to where this show disappointed, it doubles in the areas where this season impressed. In my review of Mando Season 1, I griped about the show not having enough space battles. Well, that's finally been addressed here because I got some space battles and lots of aerial combat. They went all out with both the practical effects and the CG this time around, with the cinematography, the costumes and makeup, and of course the action set pieces. And where I thought Dave Filoni directed the weakest episode in Season 1, this time around, the man stepped up to the plate. Coming from an animation background, he knew he had a lot to learn when it comes to directing live action. Jon Favreau took him under his wing, and now Dave Filoni gave us one of the best episodes that has a double showdown with a nice mix of both Western and samurai elements. And as an added cherry on top, we finally get to see Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. I mean, she was a fan favorite to play this character for the longest time. It's really good to see fan casting like this come to fruition. Apart from Michael Bihn's on and off wooden performance, Dave Filoni has shown drastic improvements coming into the second season. This man leveled up, and if he continues to hone his craft in the live action department, he could possibly be the best director to a future Star Wars film one day. And I'm damn sure we haven't even seen his final form. The action and the stunts, I think, has more than doubled since the first season. And I love how Mando can take hits and get hurt from time to time. An OP hero isn't compelling to watch when there's nothing at stake. But here, he gets his ass handed to him a few times. With some close calls here and there.
This is the way.
And I feel a lot for these stuntmen and women taking the hits and falls that they do. And most of the time, they're wearing uncomfortable alien prosthetics or in Stormtrooper armor. Speaking of Stormtroopers, I don't ever recall seeing their armor get smashed into pieces like that before. Courtesy of the awesome Boba Fett, of course. That particular episode was kinda like survival mode in a video game where waves of enemies arrive and our heroes need to hold them off. All while Moff Gideon's Imperial Cruiser is up above looking like a giant butt plug. This episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which explains the awesome violence. What do you expect when he's close buds with Tarantino? And let's face it, if you're good friends with a director like Quentin Tarantino, A, you gotta love your violence, and B, you have to be a bit of a psychopath, but in a good artistic kind of way. I love the simplicity that this show offers. There's one overarching story with subplots that play out in each episode. But when it comes to the overall structure of the story, they're not reinventing the wheel here. And they don't need to. It all boils down to execution.
Oh great. An objective opinion.
And the way the material is handled makes it so accessible for people new to Star Wars. Each episode is almost like a mini movie, which does nothing but add to its rewatchability. Mandalorian is like a gateway drug to Star Wars lore. Before you know it, you'll end up watching all the films, the animated shows, read the novels, buy the merch, and maybe get into some cosplay. And how about that post-credit scene in the last episode, huh? Boba Fett and Fennec take over Jabba the Hutt's throne from Bib Fortuna, just to let us know that there's an upcoming spin-off show called The Book of Boba Fett coming in December 2021. That's really soon. So I guess they're just gonna sit there staring at the wall? And I really like the fact that there's some serious girl power in this season. Star Wars ain't just for the boys.
Drop your weapons.
Now I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about one of the biggest hooks to this show, and that's the father-son dynamic between Mando and Baby Yoda. You can't help but get invested with Mando's relationship with this child, and it was far more believable than his relationship with this one.
You are going to be so proud to be my son.
Okay.
The final scene of this season shows Luke Skywalker accompanied by R2-D2 taking Grogu with them to get proper Jedi training. Mando takes his helmet off in front of everyone for a touching moment of saying goodbye to, well, essentially his kid, right? So what happens now in season 3 without Grogu? Well, I have a couple of thoughts. For starters, the show is called The Mandalorian and not The Fantastic Adventures of Mando and Baby Yoda. Grogu will be safe with Luke, because Luke said,
I will give my life to protect the child, but he will not be safe until he masters his abilities.
And my other thought is, I highly doubt that we won't see Grogu in season 3. That would be a huge marketing mistake. The child is one of the biggest appeals in the entire show. And you can only imagine how much money Disney makes off the Baby Yoda merch alone. It'd be like Disney saying, you know what? We don't want your money anymore. We've become allergic to money. Now before I share my final thoughts, just a friendly reminder to click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on my future videos. Subscribe. And if you like my content, I want you to become one of my valued subscribers by supporting this channel on Patreon, simply at patreon.com/PeterPabloReviews, just like these Patreon legends right here. You'll also find a link in the description below. And now for my final thoughts. Starting with the lows, even though I enjoyed it, episode 2 was the weakest of the season, and CGI Luke's face and expressions wasn't the best. And as for the highs, apart from CGI Luke, the visual effects were top-notch. Director Dave Filoni's improvement surprised and impressed me. The action never left you wanting, and it's accessible to casual fans and general audiences alike.
This is the way.
So overall, I really dug season 2 of The Mandalorian. This show is like comfort food for me. It's got everything I want in a Star Wars property. It's an action sci-fi adventure with interesting characters, space battles, touches of comedy, and fan service done right. And if you have Disney Plus and still haven't seen The Mandalorian, I gotta ask,
What are you waiting for, huh?
so what do you guys think of season 2 of Mando? Did it meet or exceed your expectations? How does it compare to season 1? Which were your favorite episodes? And do you think the Empire will ever start using railings? Cause that's an OH&S issue.
I just want a railing, you know? One railing, right here.
Yeah, I know. I've almost fallen over that thing so many times. So what'd they say?
Oh, get this. They said they're worried we'd be leaning all day.
Oh, they said that?
Yeah.
Now that I've shared my thoughts, it's time I hear yours. And remember guys, I take review requests, so smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and leave me a comment. And who am I, you ask? I'm Daniel Kaluuya. Bye for now.
When you do the audition, leave.
So, you're currently drunk and find me attractive. Well, subscribe to my channel now and regret it tomorrow morning. Plus, I'll make you pancakes in bed if you watch my other videos. Smoke Bomb, out.